Backstory. So, this one may require some backstory to build up to the big argument which happened a few days ago. I, 23-year-old man, have been with my Janine, fake name, 23-year-old woman, for 8 years now. We began as school sweethearts and have had our ups and downs, but for the most part have been a very happy couple for that whole time. We love each other's families, really enjoy each other's company, and have known for a while we wanted to tie the knot and settle down at some point. Talk of moving in together has been on the cards for a while, but we wanted to stand firm on our plan to buy rather than rent. So we have been saving for years now and are both in a position where we feel as though we can afford a deposit and have enough outside of that to make mortgage payments with both of our salaries. Everything feels perfect except for one thing: our sex life. For the past 2 years, this area has been near non-existent. Initially, the sex began to ramp down in frequency at what I thought was natural. Every few days became once a week. But this felt normal. We still live at home, so it can be awkward, but this was what I felt to be natural now for where we were in our relationship. However, as time went on, this dwindled more and more, and we are now in the position of not having had sex in 4 months. I have tried to initiate, but I get the cold shoulder so frequently that it has burnt out any wanting for me to try. At first, when I questioned this, Janine told me she was feeling a lot of pain. Of course, I didn't want to force her into anything, so we stopped then and began looking for ways to help. Initially, we believed this to be vaginismus, but over time, we realized the symptoms didn't quite match up to what we thought, so we kept looking. Well, I kept looking. Janine didn't show any signs of wanting to push to help this. I recommended doctor's appointments, but she disagreed with the need to go to the doctors for this. I mentioned therapy, and she shot this down too. I would research home remedies, and she would read what I sent over and disregard it as, "That won't work for me." Initially, with the pain, we settled on performing different acts that required no penetration, but this did not last long. She would always turn down advances and blame a particular element of my approach. I came on too strong. I wasn't coming on enough to get her going. I initiated too quickly, I took too long, and now she's turned off. It's not spontaneous enough, it's too spontaneous, and I didn't give her enough time to prepare. It's too loud in the house, it's too quiet, and will be heard, etc. This really knocked my confidence and made me consider ending things, but every other aspect of our relationship was perfect, so I didn't want to say anything. Anyways, on to the present. The argument. When we first began looking for places, I mentioned our sex life and stated that I didn't feel comfortable getting a mortgage together if we didn't have an active sex life, as it would be harder for both of us to deal with at that point. She was taken aback by this, but after discussion agreed we'd keep looking and she would work on becoming more sexually active. That was a year ago. Fast forward to the past few weeks, and we realized our finances were in the right place to move. Janine asked what day I would like to go and speak with a mortgage advisor, and I told her I didn't. She was confused and asked what I meant, and I explained as above. In the year I had been saving for this mortgage under the agreement to move in should she work on rebuilding our sex life. In that year, she had done nothing and taken no action, even going the 4 months without initiating or engaging with me about this. As said before, I didn't want to force her but wanted to see some form of effort at being more intimate in our relationship. She stopped kissing me without my initiation in this time also. She has seen 0 doctors in this time for her medical issues and has refused my advances of couples therapy. When I finished explaining, I said, "Our finances are there, but I am not ready to pursue this next stage together without work on our sex life." She was furious with me and stated that I was holding our future at ransom to have more sex. She stormed out, and I haven't heard from her since other than a text message telling me she wasn't coming to a dinner date I had planned and to call her when I had decided to not be an arsehole anymore. Whilst I feel that my intentions weren't cruel, I now feel like I may be the arsehole for building up to this point of building our finances to suddenly halt it like this. I understand her feelings of betrayal, but I just can't move in knowing our sex life is going to continue non-existent. Am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. NTA. She needs to understand that a big part of why you're with her is sex. Without that, you two might as well just be roommates, which is not what you want. GT. I was holding our future at ransom. If you want to have sex, there is no future. You can't hold something at ransom that doesn't exist. I'll also be honest, I'd be very wary if sex got better just long enough to get the house. I'd want her to show that sex got better indefinitely and for a very sustained period of time before we ever moved in together. You don't say so explicitly in your post, but it sounds like you want an exclusive monogamous relationship, right? I had this problem with an ex once. She wanted to get married, but sex was non-existent. I said to her, "We're monogamous and exclusive, and that's how our marriage is going to be, right?" And she said, "Of course, yes." And I said, "So that means if the sex sucks or if there is no sex, I cannot go outside the relationship for it at all? And I wouldn't want to anyway for a number of reasons." And she said, "Yes, that's how I want the marriage to be." Then I said, "And if I cheated, you'd divorce me?" And she said, "Yes." Then I said, "Okay, then we have a problem. See, if I marry you and you're, let's say, a terrible driver, then that's okay. Because I can drive or we can take public transit or whatever. But if I marry you and the sex sucks or is non-existent, I'm screwed because you will be the only option I have for sex. So if things will be like this, I can't marry you." We broke up soon after. Sounds like you should too. Comment 2. Sex does not make a relationship, but it absolutely can break a relationship. It's easier to deal with a breakup when you don't live together. Going into a live-together relationship is riskier when you've already got a problem between you. Why would you advance your relationship without first solving the problems it has? That is called insanity. Comment 3. If she's not willing to see a doctor or get therapy, or at least try and keep putting all the blame on you, then why even continue the relationship? Sexual incompatibility can be a death sentence for a relationship. Time to accept you may never have sex with her again, even though you're in a relationship, or become single. I would choose being single. Now, for the next story. I am a proofreader, and my job is to correct parts of the text that do not make sense when read aloud. Here is the corrected text. I, a 41-year-old man, was married to my ex-wife, a 38-year-old woman, for 2 years before we split up. She has 5 kids that I had been helping her raise for almost 9 years, as we had an on and off relationship before we got married. The kids are a 22-year-old female, a 19-year-old male, a 17-year-old male, an 11-year-old male, and a 9-year-old female. I have always had a great relationship with all the kids and treated them like my own. Their dads weren't really in the picture, and I was the man that stepped up to be there for them all. My ex and I would still spend time together and see each other after our initial split as we were trying to work things out. During this time, she would date other men and have them in the home with the kids. I worked out of state and would talk to her and the kids regularly like a husband and father would spend my days off with them all. Well, the lying came into play when I found out accidentally that the father of 3 of the kids had gotten out of jail and was spending time with my wife and kids behind my back because no one wanted me to find out because he told them not to tell me. I was then informed that they had been covering for their mom's indiscretions the whole time. I've known them. Full specifics, as I would come down from work on my time off, the kids would all hide whatever man their mom was seeing at the time and tell the little ones to not say anything to me. If I had found out what they were doing, I would have stopped paying all the bills and taking care of all of them. When I was told all of these things, I realized that I was just an ATM and them and their mom never really cared about me, so I cut all contact with the entire family. I decided my feelings and my mental health were more important than constantly caring for people that don't care about me or how I felt about what was being done to me. So, am I the idiot? Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your ex is a hoe. You deserve better, and those kids clearly didn't value you as much as they should have. Have they tried getting in contact since? Comment 2. Not the idiot. Dating a single mom is fine. Dating a single mom with 5 kids from different fathers, at least one of whom is in jail, might not be the best idea. Comment 3. Not the idiot. If they ever contact you, remind them that you are not their father and you don't associate with liars. Now, for the next story. Update at the bottom, and my husband has made a very important comment. It's here. https www.reddit.com/errata. Comment /160 LLX/ITA_4_asking_my_husband_why_the_cameras_don't/jxot 764/ context =3 and share _ID =WXB53 Bu28 Ahue VG UIPK recently married and combined households by moving in together. Great relationship, healthy sex life, good communication. I, 38-year-old female, have a few cameras around the house for security and to communicate with the kids that don't have cell phones yet, but mainly to see when my kids get home from school. I could not care less about the cameras most any other time. I had these and more at my old house, but I've only set up 3 so far at the new house. The new house also came with a Ring doorbell camera. My husband, 43-year-old male, is working from home. The first few weeks in the house were fine. No hiccups or glitches with the cameras. The Ring doorbell worked like a champ at every slight bit of movement. The first week he was alone in the house, and the first day the kids went off to school, when they came home through the front door, there was no Ring notification. The timeline glitches as if the shots were deleted. He is the main Ring account holder. I'm shared, I can't delete anything. That evening I mentioned it and he gets defensive, so I initially dropped it. I wouldn't have married him if I didn't trust him. I was just curious about what happened. Later, we talked it over, and I explained that I didn't think he did something malicious, but something definitely happened. Agreed to move past it. I decided to just take notes on when I noticed the glitches. It has happened a few more times, and always on days that he's been at home, alone. Every so often, I've asked one of the kids what he's doing when they got home, and most of the time he was playing video games or in a work meeting. Today, around 2, I go to check the garage camera to see if he's left the garage open, which he does frequently, and we end up with exorbitant power bills. So I remind him to shut the door. I get the error, live view failed. I try the front of the garage, same error. I screenshot and send them to him asking if he knows why they aren't working. He loses his poop. Starts saying I'm accusing him of hiding things. Now, I don't think he's cheating. We have a healthy sex life, we typically communicate, but I just don't understand. The cameras work great when he isn't home alone. He has access to the cameras, just as I have access to the Ring. If he isn't hiding anything and not messing with the cameras, why the defense? I didn't ask what he was doing, but I did insinuate that I thought he had something to do with it. TLDR. Cameras glitch, but only when my husband is home alone. He gets defensive when I question it. Am I the idiot for asking about the cameras? Update. This got a lot more traction than I ever expected it would. Thank you to everyone who has commented and given me your opinion. It has been greatly appreciated. I don't think I will ever be able to get through all of the comments, but what your comments did give me was a harsh sense of borderline toxic reality. I want to shout out to the IT guys that mentioned bandwidth, which is probably our problem since he's video gaming when I am trying to see the cameras. Also, yes, these are Ring and Blink cameras, which are known to glitch. All in all, I trust my husband isn't doing anything to affect the cameras, nor do I think he's having anybody over to the house. I'm not going to set up a nanny cam or any other camera in the house because I do not feel the need to monitor his every movement, which a lot of you are concerned about. That's not why the cameras are there, and if he felt that way, I'd take them down immediately. For those of you that said that he was getting defensive because his wife was making crazy claims against him are 100% correct. For those comments, I greatly thank you because it helped me see that I was a little bit of the AH. Now, here are the comments. Comment 1. I find this all a little suspicious, but I feel compelled to say, we have a Ring doorbell that started glitching like that. I tried lots of things and finally, for that and some other reasons, decided to update our router. That completely fixed all our Ring issues. If you have an old router, maybe get a new one? Good luck with whatever happens. Not the idiot. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It sounds like you handled the situation perfectly and you have done your due diligence. The part you probably don't want to hear is that your husband is almost certainly up to something, and it might be time to stop trying to figure out what's going on with the cameras and start to wonder what's going on with your husband. Comment 3. No, not the idiot, but he is for shutting down any conversation about it and making no efforts to resolve the problem. If he wants you to continue to trust him, he needs to face this issue. His behavior is highly questionable, and I'm sure he would feel differently if the shoe was on the other foot. Now, for the next story. I, 30-year-old female, work for an IT company in technical sales. I have a hybrid job, so I work from home a few days and have to be at the corporate office or client locations on other days. Every day I dress well. Business casual outfits, my style is bold colors and very feminine, and wear makeup. When I am working from home, I am frequently on video calls, so I set up good lighting gear and a camera on a tripod in my home office. I make good money and bought my current 3-bedroom house before I started dating my boyfriend, 28-year-old male. He moved in with me last year and we have a very good and happy relationship. Last month, his sister, 35-year-old female, came to stay with us. She is having marriage problems and needed some space away from her husband while they sort things out. We have a nice guest room and I had no problem with her staying. She asked me a lot of questions about my job and I explained to her in detail. I had assumed that she is thinking of entering the workforce, now that she may be getting divorced. She's a stay-at-home mom who's never had a job before, but it turned out that sister-in-law added up what I make and how I dress and my atypical work hours to mean that I must be a cam girl and escort. Whenever I go to my office, I stop by a gym on my way back from work. I have a hang-up about using gym showers, so after my workout, I'll change back into work clothes and come home and shower. I love working out, but am a bit neurotic about gyms being dirty, so I am very obsessive about coming home and showering right away. My boyfriend finds this funny and sometimes teases me about it. A few days ago, he was messing with me by stopping me from getting to the bathroom until I kissed him, and I said I didn't want to because I felt dirty and gross. I don't mind this teasing at all, and this was playful banter between us. But sister-in-law got very upset and burst into tears. I thought that we had slipped into some dirty talk and that got her offended, and I apologized to her. On Sunday, my boyfriend comes home laughing about this hilarious misunderstanding. Sister-in-law went and told their entire family that I was a sex worker, and they held an intervention for him to get him away from me. He thinks this is funny, but I was very mortified and offended. I have nothing against people in this line of work, but her making assumptions and shaming me and my boyfriend for it was very offensive to me. I gave her a stern talking to that I had opened my home to her and asked for nothing in return, and she treated me so badly. I asked her to leave, and she did. Now my boyfriend is mad at me because he thinks I am overreacting and was rude to his sister. I think sister-in-law had ruined my relationship with my in-laws, and it's not something I can brush off and ignore. Am I wrong in thinking that this is a big deal and she was way out of line? If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day!